Hey everybody, Ben from Living Survival, and today we're going to take a look at the Gary Wines Bushcrafter made by LT Wright knives, designed by Gary Wines. Looks like an excellent knife, feels really great in my hand, but as they say, the proof is in the pudding, so let's put it to work. So as always, it's nice to know what we're working with here. Now this is the LT Wright Gary Wines Bushcrafter. Very nice looking knife. Overall it measures 8 7/8 with an edge length of 4 1/8. It's got a very nice Scandi grind on it. 01 tool steel, 5/32 inches thick. It does have a very sharp 90-degree spine, which is great for scraping tinder, and then also obviously striking a ferrocerium rod. The handle material is very nice bead blasted micarta with a nice generous sized lanyard hole there, and also comes with the very nice LT Wright standard sheath with ferro rod holder on the side and dangler on the back. I also have the LT Wright high carbon Bushcrafter, so you can see how they compare in size here. Handle is about the same length. The Gary Wines Bushcrafter just a little bit longer, and obviously that Scandi grind. It's got a similar handle design, not quite as tapered up front as the HC Bushcrafter. I will be reviewing the HC as well in a future video, but again today we're playing around with the Gary Wines Bushcrafter. The leather sheath works very well with the Light My Fire Army model. I usually wear it around my neck, but I could also use it attached to the sheath as well. So I'm just going to process down some wood for my wood stove and see how it performs. Very nice. Once that Scandi edge digs in there, the rest of the thicker portion of the blade takes over and splits that wood right up. And this is some nice dry hardwood, so that works really well. You also want to have a nice solid platform, which I don't really have, but it's better than going into the ground. You can see once that Scandi edge gets through there, it just splits. This is some super hard wood. Not quite sure what it is, maybe hickory. We go. Little knot there. You can see just how tough that wood is. I mean, it just split my baton right in half. Just keep splitting on that sharp 90-degree spine on the top. But this wood is something fierce. The edge is still perfect, so that's good. Definitely good at splitting the small stuff, which honestly is about all I would do with this size knife. Leave the larger splitting to an axe hatchet or maybe a 6 or 7 inch blade. Not much of a baton left. I can split that wood up as well. Just powers through that stuff. that Scandi edge really digs in there quite well. So must just be some really hard wood I was trying to get through there. That barrel handle feels really good, and I know on the HC Bushcrafter it tapers a little bit up front, but honestly I like my handle to be thick all the way up, so when I am choking up I still have some handle material left where I usually get a hot spot, which is, you know, right within my forward grip there. Plenty of room on the handle for my hand, doesn't stick off the end there. And I'm sure this 90-degree spine, oh yeah, scrapes like crazy. Doesn't take long to process down some finer shavings using that 90-degree spine. Can really make some nice fine curls with it as well, with lots of control. And it'll also really get in there if you want it to, just by applying more pressure. It really digs in good. So I know you guys are going to ask, this is a Silverfire Scout stove. It's a gasifier stove. And full pot of water here, boiling up some rice. Doing this instant rice. Never done that before, going to see how it works. And then I'm also going to cook up some, fry up some fish. So fish and rice. It's just about to a boil here, took about 5 or 6 minutes. And you just keep adding, you know, small wood to this stove. I just use chunks like this and keeps it nice and hot. Now, I don't have any batter for my fish, but I'm just gonna fry it up in some oil. Throw some Old Bay in there. Just gonna pan fry that up. Well, I wish I had some breading, but I don't, so Old Bay, I guess, will work just fine. So what are my final thoughts on the Gary Wines Bushcrafter? I love it. I think it is a fantastic knife. The Scandi grind works amazingly well for not only carving but also to split small chunks of wood. Now lately I'm a larger knife guy, you know, up into the 7, 8, 9 inch mark, but if you combine a knife of this size with a Laplander, for example, there really, you know, isn't much you can't do when it comes to wood processing. Of course, in the wintertime, or if you need larger firewood for larger fires, of course, an axe or a tomahawk will work much better for you. But for just every day out, as a bush knife, as a knife that can certainly process down some wood for a little personal fire or a little personal stove, this knife and this size range works beautifully. This knife has one of the nicest 90-degree spines that I've ever seen on a knife. I'm not sure, I mean, it's not as sharp as some, but it sure does work well for scraping down fine tinder and striking a ferro rod. I've had other 90-degree spines that are extremely sharp that don't do as well as this knife. I think it has something to do with the fact that you can see here after the handle ends, it actually is ground more on the top of the spine there where the blade is. So I don't know if that helps a little bit with scraping down wood, or if it's just the overall comfort of the knife, because it is very comfortable when you are scraping down tinder, and I would actually use this knife for that. A lot of knives, you know, I just forego that option and just create feather sticks or something like that, but you can certainly create some nice fine tinder with this knife. You can see LT Wright's logo there on the one side and Gary Wines on the other side. Take a look at that fantastically finished Scandi grind. No chips, dings, or anything with the amount of batoning that I did. So since this is a gauntlet review, it's going to be headed to a bunch of other channels. What's great about that is I don't have to do everything the knife can do. I can simply take it out and play with it and just give my feedback on it. And when you follow something through the gauntlet, you can see all the other applications that all the other channels put forth on a knife like this. So that's the great thing and the beauty about the gauntlet, and it makes my job easier because I can actually just go out and have fun without worrying about every last detail about the knife. Now I am also going to be reviewing the regular high carbon Bushcrafter, which is 1075 high carbon steel from LT Wright, instead of the Gary Wines, which is the 01 tool steel. So I'm interested to see how that one's going to hold up. That one's a little bit smaller blade too, and this is about as small as I like to go with my bushcraft knife. Like I said, I'm into the large choppers lately, and then maybe a knife in this size range, really no smaller, because if I get any smaller, then I go to a neck knife for food prep and smaller, you know, finer tasks and things like that. So this is about as small as I like to go in my bushcraft knife, but altogether with the sheath, it makes a fantastic knife for bushcrafting. Another look here at the leather sheath. Fits the knife very well. I like when the knife goes deep into the leather. It's not going to fall out. Now it doesn't have perfect retention like Kydex would, for example, and if you shake it hard enough, it is going to come out. But you have that nice dangler there, and then of course the ferrocerium rod holder there as well. So overall, again, just a beautiful setup. So I'm going to leave some links to where you can find out more information about this knife on LT's website, as well as a link for thegauntlet.tv. That's where you can follow this knife and all the other products that we review in the Gauntlet and all the associated channels that do the reviewing. So I'll place those links below in the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video today. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here because it looks like it's about to rain. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Leave me some comments below. I do try to answer each and every comment that comes through on my videos. And as always, guys, if you haven't subscribed, click that red subscribe button for more videos.